rejects federal authority. The group is seen by law enforcement as a growing domestic threat. After his association with that group began, Long's posts grew more extreme. He was in Dallas soon after 5 officers were murdered there, and he called their deaths justice.
It's only fighting back or money. That's all they care about. Revenue and blood.
Peaceful protests, he said, never work.
100% of revolutions have been successful through fighting back, through bloodshed. 0 have been successful just over simply protesting.
But on the Kansas City street where Long used to live, neighbor Carl Ballou shook his head as he recalled a boy who once played with his own son.
It's not natural by any means. I mean, killing, just be killing with purpose.
And one more thing about Gavin Long, Scott. He had no criminal record. The police here say they never had any contact with him.
Dean Reynolds, thanks very much. Many of the police protests we've seen have arisen after officers went unpunished after being accused of excessive force. Well, today a Baltimore judge acquitted a lieutenant in the death of Freddie Gray, whose neck
A
was
judge
broken
without
while
the
he was
jury?
being
Why,
driven
so you
in a
could
police
time
van,
it?
a van that was not
So that more
involved in
cops
any
will
accident.
die tonight or tomorrow?
6 cops were
By another
charged.
lunatic?
4 have gone to
From his
trial.
little
There have been
organization, the
0
American
convictions.
IceUS?
Here's Chris Van Vliet.
2 of the counts against Lieutenant Brian Rice, the highest ranking of the 6 Baltimore police officers charged
Now
in
they
Freddie
know
Gray's
the
death,
story.
were thrown out during trial. Today, Judge Barry Williams found Rice not guilty on the 3 that remained, telling prosecutors while the failure to seatbelt Gray last April may have been a mistake or bad judgment, they failed to prove it was a criminal act. This is the 4th trial to end without a conviction. Lawyer Warren Alperstein.
The evidence is the evidence, and unless the prosecution's going to, find new evidence, nothing's going to change. It's just the same, movie getting played out over and over.
In West Baltimore, the center of the unrest that followed Gray's death, it was peaceful, but some residents, like Teresa Davis, expressed frustration. Do you feel like justice is being served in these cases?
Well, no, I don't. I feel like it's nauseating. Like, once again, we haven't got our justice served, once again.
How do you like it
This latest
served? With
loss by
ketchup?
prosecutors is fueling growing criticism of Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, who pushed for these officers to be swiftly charged. Scott, today, out of concern for their safety, Baltimore's police commissioner has ordered all of his officers to respond to all of their calls in pairs.
Chris Van Cleve in Baltimore for us tonight. Chris, thank you. Well, coming up next on the CBS Evening
Go
News from
Amsterdam.
Cleveland, a new case of Zika in the United States is alarming because of how it may have been transmitted.
From Sweden.